all good. You got that first long stage out of the way, so you're kind of dialed in for the longer ones.
Be honest, I have. And now we will reach the stages, in my opinion, is the hardest one. Easy to get the DNF and the terminal. So now for sure I will lose some grounds to the other guys. This is stages we don't know so good. So we will just keep it on the safe side, I think, and listen to the pace notes.
Listen to the calls, Samir. Well,
yeah.
Unless Alex has got another question for you, I think we'll leave you go to the next stage now.
I'm all good. Like we'll let you go on with stage 5.
Stage 5, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. Unless something's gone terribly wrong, I believe it's stage 5.
Yep.
Thank you ever so much, Mr. Kamikaze, and yeah, good luck for the next stages. We hope that the cameras are back. We do apologize for these small technical issues that we've been having. OBS related issues. It does happen from time to time. That's what happens when you have to work with software. Sometimes it's a little bit temperamental. So me having got my feedback as well, I can now commentate on Jam going through the stages, and it looks like he's got a well-repaired car as well. So it's once again, as Kamikaze, as Encephalosis, as Ryan have been saying, it's all a case of you've just got to sort of build on the momentum or regain the momentum, depending on how the first couple of stages have gone. And then hopefully just keep pushing and get the stage times better and better, because mistakes will come. For example, I know that Ambient Mike had a little bit of a mishap towards the end of the stages. Towards the end of the rally. So, there's possibilities, for example, for Kamikaze or Vlembar with their pace to get toward the top of the leaderboard. And 56th place for Aerotech there. That's a good stage time. I'm sure he might be a bit disappointed with that, though, because if it was rear-wheel drive cars, he could be significantly faster, I think.
Yeah, Aerotech was, let's say nicely bashing his head against the steering wheel. So I don't think he was overly happy with what happened there, but you can't always... it doesn't always go right for you in any sort of motorsport, as it can go wrong even for the best sometimes. But we're on to stage 5 now, which is, I'm going to say, Montagut.
That sounds good to me, yes.
Yes.
Sounds like a stage that you do just after having lunch and
exactly.
a service area, so that sounds good. You got Contown on board with Contown here. One of the drivers where I expected him to do a little bit better, perhaps, but he's been a little bit off the pace for the moment. Dropping 15 seconds to the others in stage 3 and stage 4. A bit more toward the pace, but he seems to be struggling with something. And looking at the way the car's handling, I'd say everything's good, but obviously making maybe mistakes. Oh, get it between the trees. Wonderful stuff. Take the penalty. Doesn't matter. That is the most impressive thing I've seen so far. All over the place, but it's Paris Dakar apparently, not Rally Spain. But I think he'll be quite happy with that once he watches the replay. But that's the sign of the class driver. Contant Alonso, obviously esports champion on Dirt Rally 2, so he's got all of the talent there to avoid the trees and stuff like that. And he did a masterclass of that right there. Lovely stuff, hey Alex.
It was certainly that. It was definitely you just draw a breath very quickly for him, but he's made it work brilliantly, and you see Vembar as well, both going on their stage runs. I suppose the thing with Quinton here is, do you think it's a difference on the on the wet, or on the front wheel drive of the cars here, or do you think it's just he's not as familiar with Rally Iberia?
From what I know from Conta, most of his time in game and all of his time in real life has been spent on rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive cars. He drove a cross cart, so a rear-wheel drive buggy, let's call it, a very lightweight buggy in the French cross cart championships. So I think they call it sprint car in France. But so he knows how to drive rear-wheel drive, but front-wheel drive a little bit less familiar, I think. And I can't really see it, to be honest. When the corners he gets right, they're perfect. but it seems to me that he's struggling with rotation of the car a little bit
Ça fait
of
chier parce que je
understeer,
pense que la
especially
première partie
probably
de
in the
rallye était
problems
bien,
in the
la
brake.
deuxième
And
partie
he's
était
just
merdique.
translating what he's saying.
T'es
He's
nul
a
à
bit
chier, je
annoyed
fais une
because
belle
in
esquive,
that
mais pas
part he
récompensé parce que je
knew
me prends 5
that
secondes de délai
he
quand même.
had the performance there.
Putain.
He knew the lines to take, but as soon as he went into the corner,
Ah, c'était
it was
chaud,
just
les
not
esquives entre les
gripping
arbres là, c'était
as
chaud. Mais ouais, au
much as he
moins j'ai
could.
préservé la
And
caisse. Putain, les
he's
5
just
secondes de
commenting
pénal
about how
font
lucky he
mal,
was
elles
to get
font
through the trees.
mal.
But only 8 seconds off
Putain.
with a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, I take that as a win.
I mean, that's quite an incredible time to put in,
Ah,
considering that 5 second penalty. I think he will be annoyed with himself. I think he'll be less annoyed after he watches the replay
ah,
back
les
of
5
him
secondes de
missing
pénalty.
those trees. I think that's the most important thing that he didn't. Well, didn't DNF because he was
Ouais.
going at quite some speed. If he had hit that tree, it could have been big damage. May have even been a DNF here. Has Aerotech have these two begun at stage 6? I believe
think
they
so.
have, which is the stage 6 Pontilis.
I'm glad you're pronouncing all the names for me and that we're not doing the back and forth. This is brilliant. This is an
I'm only
upgrade
giving
for
you the
me.
ones that I can't pronounce.
Ah, yes, I do realize that now. Now I've understood why you're doing this, and I'm suddenly less happy as Jam has gone for a little
Oh
bit of a
no!
spin. He's in a bit of a jam at the moment, but he's got back on track. Lovely stuff. I think he went over the bank on the outside and just spun around. Very, very easy to do because it's braking downhill, a little bit off camber as well. And yeah, you just get a wheel onto the gravel and then the car just rotates. What I found really, really surprising is looking at the setups of people that they were sharing just before the broadcast. The brake pressure was very, very high on these cars. So you can adjust the brake pressure and also the brake balance, obviously, on the cars as well. So the brake pressure being very, very high for the rain and for tarmac, they're just locking the tires.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
I'm just even at low speed there, he just locks the brakes completely, just couldn't steer, and then it's just compounding the problem. And I think Jam losing confidence is hitting the brakes even harder, and it's just creating more and more problems effectively.
Do you do you understand why that is happening? Why they've chosen to do that, or is it something that you were confused about? Because you sound there when you talk about it, you don't understand why they've gone with that.
Well, it's all down to personal preference, I'd say. My opinion might not be the same as others, but I tend to find on tarmac the brake pressure is quite high for these cars, especially for rainy conditions. So, for a front-wheel drive car, you don't want to be locking the brakes at all because you have limited possibilities of recovering the car. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a reason why you have high brake pressures to stop the car in ideal conditions to stop the car very quickly. But if you're locking the brakes, you're not actually stopping the car too much. So it's also a confidence thing. If you're locking the brake into every single corner, you get a little bit mistrusting of the car, and you calculate for a little bit of understeer into the turns, and then that compromises your lines a little bit. So in my opinion, yeah, the brake pressures seem to be a bit too high for people. But then again, the leader of the first couple of stages in torrential rain was running with a really high brake pressure. So maybe it's something that I don't know enough about. I'll have to test it maybe. But yeah, it's very technical setups. And as you can see on a stage like this with so many crests and braking points, as Aerotech goes into one of the very, very dangerous corners there, downhill off camber with a gap in the barrier on the braking zone on the left-hand side there. But he navigated that perfectly. And Jam is just about to come into it. He is... Ooh. Wow, Jam managed to find a load of grip into there. Impressive stuff. He carried a lot of speed. So the pace is there for Jam, but just the confidence isn't.
Yeah, just those few little mistakes that has cost him so far on not only this stage, but from all the stages we've watched him, he's made at least one error that has cost him a lot of time, and albeit a big one or a small one, it has cost him. But again, we spoke to Jam last week, didn't we, in Portugal, and he seemed like he'd been uplifted in his confidence, was a lot more happy about what was going on, and I'm sure he's enjoying it out there. It does look very tricky to drive today, obviously in the rain. And obviously, as you said, the setup's very complicated, so it's a lot to do in this condition. But of course, they have a dry section to look forward to. But again, that is its own disadvantage because you're going from driving pretty much an entire rally in the wet to then doing a couple of stages in the dry, which is going to mess with your head.
Yeah, it's all about just maintaining that consistency. Talking about consistency, Vlembar is on a charge at the moment, having set the second fastest time in stage 4. He set the fastest time overall in stage 5 and is now currently on stage 6 as well. So he is just going for it effectively. He's taken the overall lead after stage 5 as well. So, the gaps are nearly, nothing really. 4 seconds between Vlembar and Ambient. Mike Kamikaze looks like he's made a mistake in the in one of the previous stages because he is 21 seconds behind overall. Comtown, meanwhile, has made his way all the way up the leaderboard as he is only 33 seconds off of the pace. So it's all to play for. But there's also just so many creators in the top 15 at the moment. RCJPH in 10th overall, 46 seconds off the pace. And Ryan still in 13th, less than a minute off the pace as well. So, in terms of Creator Series points, you're going to have to be all the way up the leaderboard to score major points. Aerotech struggling right now with the car, maybe the damage being a little bit too much now.
Yeah, but it's awesome to see so many creators so far up as well. As I think Ryan was saying, there is some people that are very, very fast in this. Of course, Vembar being one of them, looking so mighty so far in these cars and in this rally specifically. But it is also to play for. I mean, the championship is still up for grabs. The championship leader not racing today. I don't know where he is, but hopefully he will appear at some point. But everyone else is closing in on them. And it is just incredibly close, and this is what we love to see here in Creator Series in the WRC, and that's why it's such an exciting event every Monday. And Aerotech is about to finish his 6th stage and crosses over the finish, and 5:43 is the time on the board, which I believe will put him inside the top 25.
Yeah, I think just. I didn't get it. He scrolled before I got a chance to have a look, but
might be
it
top
was
50.
right about there. I will try and find his exact time if I can. But yeah, it's a good time. It was a solid stage on Aerotech, and we are about to get him in for an interview right now. Hello, Mr. Aerotech. It seems to be going okay for you so far. The front wheel drive, probably not your speciality, let's say, but you seem to be handling it very well.
Yes and no. Like, when it goes well, it goes well. I think it was Montclair that I had like a top 25 time. That was awesome. And then this is gonna sound like the biggest John in the world. I heard a Discord ping, got confused, and hit a tree at 120.
Well,
I don't know what it is, but it seems like every time I try to push the car a little bit harder, that's when it tries to kill me. So it's kind of been a balance of like good and bad. That last stage, we were like somewhere in the 50th, and I had thought it was terrible. So I don't think we're doing as bad as I think, but definitely could be doing a lot better.
In terms of pace overall, we're seeing a lot of drivers favoring this car and track or stage combo. So, maybe a case of an opportunity of waiting for people to make bigger mistakes and profiting from people getting caught out later on.
Yeah, that's usually what we end up doing. It's kind of annoying. I wish I had just like a little. It's kind of the frustrating part of where I'm at now in terms of pace, where I am a lot better than where I was, but to get that last little bit takes like 15 times more effort. I think we have something for him in the last couple stages. It seems like the Peugeot drives really well in the drying stages, even more so than the dry stages, like when it's just starting to come up to temp. In the early stuff, I couldn't see anything, so it didn't really help. But yeah, we haven't been to do too bad. Hope it comes to us. Is definitely a rally where I think if you step out, like I had. First of all, if the lady says don't cut, you should just listen. Like, you're not smarter than the co-driver. The first corner, don't cut. I went, yeah, no, I am there. There was a wall there. But I don't know. It's a fun rally. I like how wide it is. I like a lot of the rhythm sections. Just it seems, especially in the low speed stuff, the 1s and 2s, I just don't have anything for the fast guys.
And in terms of the stages we have left, of course, we have, as you mentioned, a few dry stages coming up. But is there a stage you're particularly not looking forward to? I mean, we have a really long stage on the horizon. I believe it's 19 kilometers, if I read it correctly. Is that one you're worried about as well, maybe for tyre wear, or is there one you're particularly more worried about?
I did some testing yesterday, and this stage you could actually run in a dry tire. I wouldn't necessarily. It's like possible. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because the next stage is about 9Ks, and the benefit that you'll get is just not as great. Like you won't be able to make the time back up. But because the track the stage is drying, it's not so bad. I think it's the dry stages at the end that if I'm worried about anything, just because it's been wet the whole time. So you kind of have to adjust to having more grip and getting the tires in the temp and all that other stuff. It's just a completely different scenario. And I'm sure people who are really good are probably going to change their setups from wet to dry. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep driving the same set and hope for the best. So I have a lot of rear brake in the car, and when it's dry, the rear end really likes to kick out under brakes. So it's just keeping that in mind. Kind of just a little bit of a mental shift there towards the end of the rally.
Awesome stuff. Well, that's a great analysis about the setups. Really interesting to hear your insight because we've been talking also about how the setups are different for each individual driver. So, would you say your confidence is better in the dry then?
Yeah, just from a vision standpoint. There's a thing too where when it's really wet, there looks like to be a dry line, but it's not necessarily the best way some places to set up corners. It's just kind of where the dry line is. When the track is drying or dry, my brain just kind of goes, all right, run the racing line. So at least in the last couple of stages, minus the damage and stuff that we took, we managed to get most of it fixed, thankfully. It seems to be a lot quicker. I don't know if it's just confidence or being able to put the car where I want to and not kind of defaulting to that dry line. But yeah, to your point, it's kind of wild that you can have so many people that are very close in pace, and then you look at their setup sheet and it's totally different. I know I talked Jam's running with us. He was like, I'm running 73% brake. I was like, I'm running like 54. So we've been kind of meeting each other in the middle every time we pit. So it's been pretty cool to see like everyone's different strategies and what works for them and what doesn't.
It's funny that you should say that, as that fits exactly into what we were saying earlier. So thanks for that confirmation there. I think we should probably leave you get into the next stage now.
It's warm and dry up here. I could stay up here for a bit. That's okay.
Well,
not dressed like Ryan. I'm not dressed appropriately, but
so in terms of, let's say, compromising the driving on a drying track or on a dry stage with a different tire choice, what sort of things can you do then to keep the tires life going on, keep the driving good?
So the best thing you could do, at least for me, is the Peugeot. It doesn't give you a lot of, at least in my wheel, a lot of feedback in the hands when the fronts are spinning. So just really paying attention to the RPMs and going, oh no, I'm hitting red line not because I'm at the top of the gear, because the front wheels are spinning, and either short shifting or coming off the throttle a little bit. The rear tires are not a problem. It's front wheel drive. Actually, early on in the run, the rear, at least in the last two stages, the rear was all over the place because the rears were cold. So getting the fronts into temp, getting the rears into temp, and then not overheating the fronts to chew through them. I know in practice yesterday, I tried running a softer tire in the last two stages. We might go for it. I don't know. But being able to take care of the tire on the first stage and still gaining time means I had tire on the last stage. We'll see what happens. I'm going to kind of see where I'm at and if it's worth taking a risk. But just like be really careful on the throttle, really is the best thing you can do, especially in the Peugeot. It's got 300 horsepower and it weighs nothing. So all it wants to do is spin the tire.
Great in-depth analysis there. Thank you ever so much for that. I think now we will leave you to it.
Yeah.
So, indeed, have a good stage and enjoy it as you can.
Thanks, fellas.
It's brilliant to hear the drivers with their, different ways of doing things. And again, confirmation about the brakes there, right there. I didn't need to even prompt Aerotech, really. Driving style matters. And so when you're adapting to these cars, sometimes you'll be better under braking or better mid corner, and you just have to tailor the setup to suit your sort of comfort zone at some point. And so, most drivers will just be going for what they specialize in rather than trying to maximize everything because, at some point with these cars, if you're trying to push the limit, you will go off the road. And so with the stages drying now, at least in the major part, we're going to see some drivers start pushing, and it's at that point where things get a little bit scary.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we are on to the infamous circuit I've been mentioning a few times, the circuit stage to a few drivers. It is the 19-kilometer Santes Cruz, as I'm going to say it, or Santa Cruz, if I think I've heard of that before. 19 kilometers. It is drying for sure. And Aerotech's saying you can run the dry tire on this this stage, indeed. And a little bit of rear end loss there for Aerotech, but somehow held it through.
Yeah, I would love to say that was planned. So for Aerotech's benefit, I'll say that was absolutely just a stunt. and he's just playing to the camera there. Definitely nothing went wrong in that corner. I think it's a very brave decision to take the dry tires in this stage, just for the fact that it's downhill and you actually need the brakes a lot. And with such a chance of getting punctures and all of that, maybe it's probably not worth it, especially as you can take a fresh set of wet tires. And for example, you'll want to take, if you're going to take dry tires, you want to take the softer compound on this wet stage so that you at least get a chance of having a bit of heat, as Jam is all the way round on the barrier there, just managing to ricochet without any damage, I think. So just recovering that. Jam has been a masterclass of recovery this rally. It's actually genuinely impressive how he just tries to recover the car as fast as possible. I'm starting to doubt myself as to whether he's got damage or not, because the car rotated very strangely into that corner there for a few seconds. But as going back to the tires briefly, if you do take the dry tires here, you've then got to go for the harder compound into the last two stages, so it could compromise you for power stage points or generally in terms of pace.
Yeah, I think that's probably what is going to happen for Aerotech. I'm very interested to see how he carries on with this stage. Now, obviously, as the track is drying as well, I believe, I may be wrong, John can correct me if I am, the stage, I assume, will be getting drier and drier because obviously it's a long stage, so certain parts of it will be wetter than others.
Yeah,
Oh,
kamikaze. That was lucky. You could see the exclamation just on his face there for a second. Very easy mistake to do, and locking the tires quite a bit there. I don't think he's on dry tires just because he's not getting traction loss there, but he's pushing the limit, and I think he's conscientious that Vlembar is very close to him in the standings, and he could actually be overtaken if he gets something wrong. So he's pushing his luck, and last season he had a bit of a gap by this point in the championship, and he just managed that gap. This season, he's not on the back foot, but he's in the hunt, but he needs those big point scoring events, and he can't just rest on his laurels and wait for the last event to get some points on the board and just push it across the line. Both I will include myself for once because I have to. Myself, Flembar, and Kamikaze, we all have to just push each other to the limit and hope that someone makes a mistake. And I think you can see that here. Kamikaze is going flat out just to make sure that Flembar has to go flat out and score those big points.
Yeah, and that's certainly what is happening. But as you mentioned, I don't believe he is on the dry tyre. But it doesn't matter what tyre he's on, he is pushing, well, Hell's Angels, as I'll say. Yeah, he knows there is a couple of people, pinching at his tail a little bit. And of course, he does want to close in on you as well. And if he can do that, indeed. I just love the very small glasses adjustment there. He's driving a rally car on a drying stage, and just slightly adjust his glasses, just like he's taking a Sunday drive.
Yes, elementary, dear Watson.
Yes.
But, he's very calm. He's a very cool cookie in the stages. Even when things go wrong, you'll very rarely see him exclaim something, let's say, during the stages. So, that's a big benefit to getting your times down and to making sure that you stay on pace. We've seen, for example, Contan get a bit angry at himself for making mistakes and all that. Thankfully, that hasn't happened really this rally. So we're getting a good glimpse as to what everybody's true pace looks like in this rally. As paradoxically, the mistakes that I thought would happen among the top drivers haven't happened, actually. We've still got a flat-out rally to the end, it looks like.
And that's what we love to see, isn't it? We haven't had any major mistakes, touch wood, from any of our drivers here this afternoon. And I've only managed to commentate and curse one person, which is good. It's a record for me. I normally at least manage two. But everyone is looking pretty good so far. And Velmbar, who has looked very mighty the first few stages, was he as mighty in the last stage, John, before we got onto stage 7?
It certainly looks like it. I will just have a look. He was second overall, 1 second off the pace, so that brings the gap down to absolutely nothing, basically. So yeah, it's all to play for at the moment between Ambient Mike, Vlembar, and Kamikaze for the moment. And Contan is also making a big inroads into that lead at the moment. I just wanted to point out also the difference in driving style between Controller and the wheel. So you've got Kamikaze on the wheel at the moment and Vlembar on the controller. You can see that via the slightly jarred inputs that Vlembar does, but that's just because he's working with what he has. And you'll see that Vlembar carries a bit less apex speed than Kamikaze is able to, but he's able to get better traction as he can get the wheels straighter quicker, effectively, with that controller. And so by the time you exit the corner, they're near enough on the same pace. And you can see the top drivers here will carry that extra gear into the corners. For example, Kamikaze carrying third gear and Vlembar carrying third gear throughout most of the corners, whereas some of the drivers that are less confident will carry second gear into some of the corners. Now, that can be good for absolute acceleration. However, the problem is with that is it does create understeer just through the engine braking effectively. And also it can mean that you can spin up the tires and get extra tire wear. So the drivers are playing with the gearbox and what they can do to almost have an artificial or like semi-assisted traction control just via limiting the engine RPM and thus limiting the power. So a very, very technical rally in terms of how you drive the car on these stages to maximize the grip and cornering speed.
And they're certainly maximising that this evening. They're doing very well. And just having a look on that left-hand side bar, if you can see it. Oh, Kamikaze losing the rear end, but somehow keeping it going in a straight line, looking very, very on the edge. But as you said, John, he is pushing to the limit because he knows he has to, compared to his rivals that are pushing as well. I mean, just looking at the left-hand side, I think they're just over half the distance through stage 7 right now. It is a real marathon of a stage, and they are certainly doing a good job with it so far.
This is one of the stages where you can look at and see the difference between the drivers. I'd say Contan is probably doing the best job at the moment. He's taking all of the road and a little bit more on some of the corners, and you can see Kamikaze on certain points. He's maybe leaving about 20-30 centimeters on the side of the road of extra sort of cornering potential. He's not got that absolute confidence, whereas I guess Conta, having made that mistake earlier, he knows the absolute limit of the car, let's say, through this section, which is where he made the mistake earlier on. And it can mean the difference of like a couple of tenths of a second each corner. But when you add that up to the end of the stage, this is where he went off right there through the trees, if I am correct. And so, Conta, he's pushing the limit here and pushing the limit absolutely perfectly. You can see very minimal inputs. He's got the absolute confidence in the car to just make it do whatever he wants. And this is where you can see the sort of like tarmac specialists come out to play, as they are not phased by the changing of grip levels and the sort of aquaplaning that you can get. And you can see he's just all the way up to the barriers, and you can carry so much more speed just by taking an extra 5 centimeters. However, you need to know when to do that, and I cannot believe it. I have commentators cursed him, and not only that, he is out of the rally. Another disastrous rally for Conta. I do not know what to say right now. I am speechless.
I mean, I was literally about to say we had a breath from our producer when he almost hit that barrier the first time, and he was just one too many and just a little bit too much into the corner. Has cost him big there. The jinx has happened, but wow, obviously Kamikaze will. I'm sure he'll be getting word that has happened, but he'll be focusing on his own driving at the moment.
I'm lost for words. The commentator's curse is a well-claimed thing in the world of motorsport. I can only apologize if that's the case to Conta. That is actually devastating for him because, as you can see, Kamikaze nearly getting caught out by the same corner there, just getting on the brakes a little bit. You could see he locked the brakes into that corner, same thing. But, Contan is one of those guys that will push flat out to the limit. And I said it before, to be fair, and I would have been saying it afterwards, that he will go for every stage victory. He will want to beat his own personal best in every single stage. And that's why I love watching him, because he's on the limit every single corner. However, Kamikaze, Vlembar, both champions in the Creator Series, they are thinking of it on sort of long-term basis. They need to score the points. They're in the championship fight, and so they might be driving at 9/10 just to make sure that the other driver has to drive that little bit extra. And we can see what that happens for, sadly, for Quentin when that goes wrong and when you go over the limit. But it's looking like for Vlembar and Kamikaze, they're driving at 99%. They're just keeping that tiny little bit in reserve on certain corners.
We are going to see again, as you said, that is where the rear end just lost there for the car. And as you see, coming around the right hand, I don't think he did necessarily anything wrong. Let's see if John can pick anything
let
up.
off the brakes. Yeah,
Oh.
he let off the brakes way too early. He was trail braking and he thought he'd hooked the inside, but the front wheel, sorry to interrupt you there, Alex, but the
That's
front
okay.
wheel hooked outside of the gutter on the inside, and he was using that to turn, but because the front wheel jumped out of it, he suddenly didn't have the turning capability. And this is real speed, by the way. This is we had to slow down the footage of Quentin to be able to get a fully playable replay here. But he I bet he wishes he could drive this stage at this speed. It would be fun to see him try anyway. But that's the problem with sort of trail braking and trying to take the ideal racing line, as some drivers, as Aerotech I think was saying, and just end up spinning.
Oui. Ouais,
I
clairement,
think
là.
we'd be able to get Ancephalosis in for an interview, our producer is saying. So let us see.
Oh, God, 3 minutes.
Ancephalosis, we're back with an interview here. How is it going? I mean, we've had a slightly disastrous stage for one of your rivals. Quentin Delolmo, sadly, has gone off the
no.
road in stage 7 and has DNF'd completely.
Ooh.
So, was it a difficult stage, that last stage for you?
Oh, man. I have to say, I think I also had at least 2 moments where it probably could have happened to me as well. I've been dreading it all day. I'm sorry to hear that it happened to another driver, but I definitely knew it was possible. I think in my practice yesterday, I had like 4 DNFs, but yeah, there was a moment on that stage in particular where I even said out loud, I thought I had it. I was coming around the corner. I knew I was going to be wide, so I was off gas, adding a little brake. I was trying to be, as gingerly as I could with the steering input, but we just went like only 2 or 3 feet off. I don't think I was even fully off the track, but hit a tree pretty good. Honestly, if that tree wasn't there, I might have kept sliding off the track and joined him with the DNF. So yeah, that was a tricky stage. I definitely see how it could happen.
Just quickly, dry, because I know you have to probably get on to the next stage. The dry tires, or the dry track with the wet tires, more like. How do you think the tires are going to fare, and at what point will they be slicks?
Yeah, that's the question. At what point will they be slicks? I'm sure they will be by the end of it. Honestly, I probably should have seen this coming, but I guess it was maybe a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I like to drive cars pretty hard, and I also like cars with more power, baby. I'm an American. So I think I kind of dug my own grave on that, but because I think the Zara might have been easier for me to drive, whereas the Pug with a bit more power, and me with a bit of a lead foot. Sorry, I forgot the exact question, but basically I've been overdriving. Oh, it's about the tires. So I think I've probably been driving the tires pretty hard, and I know that they're going to get chewed up now that they're tires that are meant to be in the wet and they're going to be on the they're going to be on the dry. I know I'm going to chew them up quite a bit. So I don't know. Hopefully, I get a few sectors out of them to answer your question.
Pretty good answer, to be fair. Thank you for that. We'll leave you get into the stage there, but yeah, we'll hope to see that the tires aren't jelly by the end of the stage. Let's put it that way. But we'll enjoy watching you anyway. So good luck with that.
Right on. Thank you guys very much.
Right, good luck, mate.
Apologies, Alex, for not being able to get your question in for you.
He's getting ready for it. I didn't want to interrupt him anymore because he was. You need to get into that headspace for it. You need to get into that headspace. But Yeah, big shocker here in the locker, as they say. One of the fastest we have in the WRC. Completely DNF'd. Is that him out, John? Is that the way it goes now?
He will be able to rejoin at the next service. He'll be able to
Okay.
rejoin for the power stage, hopefully with a fully repaired car. But that's not what he will have wanted.
No.
That was I don't want to say it was his last chance to get involved in the championship, because we've seen points gaps reduce from more than the points gap they had as Jam. Whoa, another huge recovery there. My days, he is pulling all of the recoveries out of the bags here on the Creator Series, but he seems to be at one with the car, at least in terms of getting it to drift, which is a great thing in a front-wheel drive car, to be fair. It's a lot of fun when you could just slide it through the corners, apply power, and just get straight out of the corner as if nothing happened. Quentin has had the season from hell, let's say. He's had the Colin McRae 1997 season, where he's been the fastest driver on most of the stages and has somehow had an incident on most of those rallies. And yeah, I think it's just a case of I just think trying to win every single stage, as I said earlier. You know, I don't want to say that he's trying too hard, because he's a esports champion. He knows what he's doing, but there's something not clicking at the moment.
Yeah, and if that is the stage we're doing, or if it is the car we're driving, it could be a number of things. But he knows in his heart, Ryan. He's taken, the raincoat's come off, and it's all gone Pete Tong for him.
To quote a certain YouTube video in the Formula 1 series, they're putting dries on. Oh no. I mean, Ryan, that's a really easy corner to get wrong. It's kind of an off camber, and it looks like he's cooked the tires probably. So he's pushing too hard, and the tires are just flat and locking. And Gareth is insulting his driving, so I won't quote what he was saying, because he shouldn't insult his driving. He's a good driver. It's so easy to just lock up and go wide into the rocks, and sadly there are quite a few rocks jutting out there. And one of the problems that you can have in these cars is that visibility can be hampered by that bonnet lifting up, and slowly but surely it will catch the air and eventually probably fail and lift up completely, blocking your view for at least a couple of seconds.
Yeah, which isn't the best. And Gareth, hopefully this is your driving to about in-game, because let's hope the school run isn't like that. With the bonnet up as well. Well, Ryan, it's just getting from bad to worse on this one. It really is looking like a Gareth Allen school run. But we are carrying here on. We are now on stage 8, which I have proudly allowed John to pronounce for us.
Oh no. Let's have a go. Camp d'Essence or something like that.
That's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. I
probably
wouldn't give that one a go.
More of a French pronunciation, to be fair, so I'm gonna rescind that one. But yeah, I mean the bonnet being up kindly reminds me of my weekend, where I spent the best part of it on the back of a breakdown recovery lorry. But anyway, moving on from that. It's such a difficult stage, this one, going downhill, and then you're kind of on the flat for this next bit of it. But it's quite a high speed section, and those front tires will be just burning up at this point. So, all the way down to the second gear there for what should be a flat out corner in the dry. So you can see that the tires are just, they've had enough effectively. And then you've got this climb up to the castle section, which is on concrete with the drainage gaps cut into it. So very little traction, very abrasive surface as well. Slippy in the wet, but quite just abrasive in the dry there. You can see going onto it right now. And, it can be the last sort of nail in the coffin for these tires. And then paradoxically, right out onto the plateau on the top of the hill section here, which will be flat out, and probably we'll see drivers going wide in this section if they make it to the top, with Ryan clouting the barrier quite hard there.
Is the car vibrating more, or is that me?
That's just the bonnet, I think,
okay.
Just vibrating. Although, I must admit, there might be something wrong with the suspension there, as it's having a little bit of a dance before us right there. Oh, Ryan not being able to rotate the car. Just, I think, trying to press the handbrake, but nothing happened effectively. The front tires refused to respond. And
as you see, Encephalosis also trying to go for his his stage 8 there. Now, the question I have on my list, John, is why are they running on the wet tyres when it is a dry stage?
So, a bit like the Formula One, events, you can only change tires in their so-called pit stops. Let's simplify it. As Ryan goes all the way off the stage, just really getting it wrong in the same corner that Jam spun out
no.
earlier, just the
Hit a
other way,
tree.
and he's clouted a tree there, getting back onto the stage. Thankfully, with those grooved wet tires, he can get back onto the stage. But now we've got a POV side by side of Ryan and Encephalosis into the same corner. So I'll answer your question just as we get to the end of this stage here. As you can see, Encephalosis is going so wide right off the road. Just no grip left, no traction. The tires just refuse to turn in, and applying the accelerator led to nothing there. You can see the drivers have no traction right now. They're going off left, right, and center. They will be so happy to get to this finish line and get adapted, suitable tires on the car. As Ryan gets across stage 5:54, let's see the time from Encephalosis real quick. It is a 5:53, so actually very close between them. About a second and a half between our drivers there. Impressive stuff.
Not really that bad, is it? To be honest with you, considering those tyres, as you say, are probably cooked as is that what the youth say these days? I think that's what they say.
I definitely say it.
Yeah, that would be it. But I think we've got Kamikaze and Vlembar about to finish their stage. Well, Vlembar has finished a 5:28, and I believe Kamikaze also finished theirs. I didn't see what the time was. I'm sure it'll pop up in just a second. 5:40. 5:40 by Kamikaze.
5:40, and Vlembar set basically joint fastest stage time there in that stage. So Vlembar really just stealing the pace at the moment. He is absolutely flying with Ambient Mike trying to chase him down, but he's 14 seconds back now. This is essentially Vlembar's to lose at this point, and Kamikaze is a best part of a minute off the pace now. So it's looking like he's going to have to settle for third place and go for power stage points. Although RCJPH is 25 seconds behind Kamikaze, so can't afford to back off too much. Just to go back to the tires, while I look for Jam's time for our producer, might be able to get an interview with Jam, is what I'm being told
scrolling
now.
through the
Hello, Mr.
leaderboard.
Jam. Hopefully you can hear us.
Oh, hi.
It's Jam time. It's time for an interview with the
up?
lovely colors and the music and all of the vibes. We've noticed that Astra has not been very kind to you, and
Not
you've
at
been
all.
struggling a little bit. So, what are the vibes in the ultimate racer car?
The vibes have been fun, to be honest. Like at the beginning, yeah, it was a lot of mental gymnastics for me to even it was just hard for me to even drive. Not because of skill, but also not because of the car. I was just in my head so much at the beginning of the day. Got a little better. First service, Arrow was like, "Hey, maybe adjust your brake bias," which I did, and it got so much better after the first service. And in the spirit of total meme, I'm already taking the meme car, and as it stands, there's only 2 Astras in the entire leaderboard, and one of them is me. And the other one is I'm gonna go in with medium tires for the last stint, and because I want carnage.
So, just for context, I might ask because Alex asked me this question. I didn't have a time to answer it. At what point can you change tires? Just for our audience, when can you change tires? What tires can you go for?
Right. For this one, we had mediums, we had a hard, and a bunch of, and I think 4 rains, and you only have the ability to change every service. And in this particular event, there's a service every 2 stints, two stages. So this is the last one for the entire event, and I'm going with mediums. And I believe some of the people who are much faster are taking hard tires just because it's murder on the tires. But I'm taking the medium and the slowest car in the game, or in the game, not in the game, in the class.
Slowest car in the game, yeah. The mini H1 would have a lot to say about that.
I know.
So maybe Alex, over to you for some questions.
Yeah, I was just saying we've been watching Jan the entire stages. Every stage you seemed quick, and then there's just been one slight moment of something going on. But what we can say, every time we've watched that one moment, you've amazingly recovered, like almost instantly from that.
Oh yeah.
John was saying, you've really got the drifting aspect of these front wheel cars down. But in terms of those little mistakes, have you felt that that's like annoyed you most, or have you just enjoyed the racing you've done today? Have you
No,
just
in
enjoyed
fact,
it?
I'm more happy that it was happening in that way, because if I didn't listen to Aerotech on Service 1, where it's like, oh, maybe you should change it, I'd probably be in worse situations, because stage 1 and 2 was prime wheel lock territory. Like, I was just not able to turn at all. When it's drifting, that at least the back end is more locked than the front. I can at least turn in a direction to save my butt, or try to regain control some way or another by just letting off. Um, if I didn't, honestly, this is best case scenario between what's going on, because if I kept my original tune, I'd probably be DNF 4 times over by the time we got to this.
I'm not going to comment on that because I've already jinxed Contan Delolmo this stream, who's
Yeah, I
sadly
heard about
DNF.
that. What'd you do, huh?
I didn't do nothing. But just seeing your
Nothing we
time,
did.
yeah, nothing happened. It's all conjecture at this point. Yeah, don't watch the VOD, anyone. No, that's fine. Please do watch the VOD, actually. Take that back. So I'm just looking at your time right now at 136th on the leaderboard in the last 2 stages, but with a
Mhm.
good opportunity to claw back some time. Do you think you can get yourself maybe into the top 100 before the end of the rally?
Well, I'm gonna try my hardest. Realistically, knowing what I can do and the car's capabilities, probably not. But at least it'll be a crazy show.
I'm getting some interference
I,
here
I,
on
I
my
could
end.
I could hear myself, which
Yeah, I can hear
was
myself as well.
that was
Yeah,
weird.
briefly.
Sorry, Jam.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I hope it goes well for you. Let's put it that way. I think we should let you go into the last few stages there. We'll hope to see you into that top 100 if you can.
It's
So
jam
thank
time.
you.
Okay.
It's jam
jam
time.
time.
Indeed. So as we've got a lot of drivers into the last 2 stages already, they're onto the dry tires now. They're going to be pushing to the limit, and this is crunch time. They've got to get confident, not only for keeping their position, and in the case of Lembar, Ambient Mike, Kamikaze, Ryan, for example, and for people like Ancephallosis and people like Contan Delolmo, they'll be just getting themselves back into the rhythm to hopefully go for some power stage points, as the grip of the car will change, the balance of the car will change, and it can be a completely different beast to drive on dry tarmac.
Yeah, it seems that way, and obviously it seems so much faster now watching it. Obviously, without that, with the Kamikaze was very close indeed to losing the rear end there. We are now on to stage 9, I believe, and this is Les Irels, as I'm going to pronounce it. Obviously, the last of the, I'd say, normal stages before we get onto the power stage, and our second longest one, 16.3 kilometers long. So it's again another long stage, but on a dry tire, it's going to be a very different experience for our drivers, and I think they'll be thankful for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, after so many wet stages, I think they'll actually want to have the longer stages be the dry stages, but they're not going to get that opportunity, sadly. Punju has not given them that chance. So I think they'll take this as like a mini time trial. They'll try and go absolutely flat out on this one and hopefully get to the end of it. And then for the power stage, we should see a proper full out attack by most of our drivers. But it's crunch time for Kamikaze and Vlembar. The Kamikaze needs to get maximum stage points to make sure that Vlembar doesn't have a clean slate here and just swipe all of the points on this rally. Ambient Mike might be able to, nab a few points off of Vlembar, but it's looking like there could be a leaderboard position change on the overall standings after this rally.
Well, we're going to be certainly paying attention to that for you, and of course we will be definitely showing you those standings at the end. Our producer will be hard at work working out what the standings are going to be like. I may have just thrown him in the mud there, but unfortunately I've just been told by our producer basically in simple terms to sod off for that one. But we will work it out ourselves as commentators. As we can see, Kamikaze and Lembar carrying on here on stage 9, and it's been looking so good for these guys. They're obviously going the reverse of a couple of stages we saw earlier, going underneath that bridge. As Lembar is actually changing his brightness setting there mid mid stage. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen that one before.
His pace is quite literally blinding, everyone.
Yes.
He's going at the speed of light right now. You can see it's actually very bright on the screen. I must admit that is quite bright. I think it's just the way the sunlight is reflecting off the road. It does happen in places like southern France, Spain, Italy. If you've got a shiny piece of tarmac and the sun is in the wrong location, well, you just can't see anything at all. So, it can be quite distracting at the best of times. And Vlembar knows that he can't make a mistake right now. He's got great pace. He needs to just keep it on the island, keep it going until that power stage, and he might be in the chance actually of taking the lead of the championship.
And I'm sure there is no one seething about that sitting in the commentary box today.
Don't know who you're talking about. Must be a ghost in the commentary
Must be a
box.
ghost.
Third person. It's Gareth.
Yeah.
Gareth leading the
It's
championship
Gareth.
at the
Gareth
moment.
Allen.
So very
It's-
unhappy.
It's the ghost of they call me TK, leading the championship. I believe
Must
TK
be
might
the
be
ghost
back.
of my skill.
He might be back next week. TK. I've heard rumours that he's on his
We
way
have
back.
heard rumours. Well, and
Yeah.
what are you going to say to me next? Rumours that Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari. I mean, what nonsense will you
honestly.
come up with next?
What is the world coming to, eh? But Kamikaze just about halfway through stage 9, and the same with Velbar, just a few, well, I think just a little bit behind him on the stage. But the drivers, I think, thoroughly enjoying the faster aspects of a dry stage compared to the obviously very wet start we had, which basically this stage is stage 1 in reverse, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my god, Velmar, goodness me.
Dear Lord, that was close. Just going all the way up the rocks, and you can see he's a bit sort of unnerved from that as he's clouting the barrier quite a few times. That was, I think, luckier than Kamikaze's mistake earlier with the barrier, because that 9 times out of 10 you are getting at least a puncture, if not serious damage from that. So he is probably showing a little bit of nerves just before the power stage, and second guessing his lines. You can see also that the drivers are taking second gear into a lot of corners now, just using that extra traction, just pushing as much as possible. And because it's in the dry and they've got the non-grooved or the lesser grooved tires in the dry conditions, they're able to get that power down to use that grip. And here's where the 306 Maxi, compared to the Zara going uphill, might have a distinct advantage, at least for this stage. Maybe not for the power stage, whereas the tires get worn in, but just for this one stage, they'll be able to claw back quite a bit of time.
Turns out Vlembar is now in vampire mode, which is interesting indeed. Maybe a mode in Rally I'm not aware of. John, you read of vampire mode in Rally?
Yeah, I thought that was turning the lights off on a night stage
Ah.
or something like that, and just navigating via moonlight,
Yeah,
which
that
used
makes
to be a
sense.
pretty common tactic actually back on Dirt Rally 2, and especially on Dirt 4, where the lights did not light up the road. Oh, Vlembar having another little bit of a mistake there. Maybe just the setup not handling as well as he could. Maybe he's gone for a safe setup, which is quite understeering. He's checking for damage on the car there, but nothing visible as far as I could see. And if you get that understeer mid-corner, effectively you just have to pull the handbrake and hope for the best. And if the front just doesn't want to rotate, then you're in serious trouble. But yeah, perhaps something to do with brake pressure. It's very difficult to tell without asking the driver specifically about it. And even then, sometimes they won't want to give you an answer to give away what's been hampering them. But yeah, you can see, I think Kamikaze is definitely... Hang on a second. Whoa, I take that back. The time of Vlembar might actually still be faster than Kamikaze, because Kamikaze is not significantly ahead on the stage, but he's quite a bit back in terms of the time. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll take a note of the time right now going into the junction. 7:25. Let us see, with Vlembar coming into the same section, whether the time difference is as I predicted or not. It's not often that you can get some reference point on these stages, as you can tell, very rural stages, so not many buildings to go by, but that makes the joy of this rally, let's say.
think it's going to be very close indeed, as we see, remember, on the right-hand side, 7:20 on the clock at the moment, and going towards, and there, I think they're a few seconds behind there, John.
About 5 seconds difference in Kamikaze's favor, so not enough to influence anything at this stage, but definitely a confidence boost for Kamikaze if he can see that time and see that he could actually pressure Vlembar maybe into a mistake with that time.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to be losing it now. I mean, as you said, Lambo's got such a gap at the top, but the last thing they want is to throw away, as you mentioned, the gap they have, especially considering where they could go in the championship today, and maybe a little bit of pressure falling on the shoulders of Lembar there. But they do say, as one great racing driver said, diamonds are made under pressure.
Indeed, diamonds are made under pressure, but rocks are also broken under pressure. So, it can be very, very difficult to judge which one you will be at the end of the stage. Let's say, it's a double-edged sword, that saying, and usually drivers tend to end up on the wrong side of that sword. Contant Olmo and Ambient Mike having a great penultimate stage. I think Contan's already run this stage a little bit in advance, probably trying to get that pace back for the last stage. So just 10 minutes on the timer for Contant. 4 seconds, off of the fastest time. Ambient Mike 8 seconds off, so there's still a chance for Ambient Mike to nab the overall victory here from Vlembar. Vlembar keeps making mistakes on the power stage, with only 14 seconds between them before starting these last two stages. So we'll have to wait and see. Kamikaze's time might to hold up very nicely at the end of the stage, as he's just getting to the end now. It's going to be ever so close for the stage victory here.
It certainly is. One final section to go, and they may still nab a nice chunk here in the penultimate stage, coming across the finish, and it will be a 10-minute exactly, 10 minutes 6, which I believe will put them above put some third, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I do calculate that as well. Just ahead in third place there. Yeah, as we're getting confirmed now. Just 4 seconds off the pace. I was doing the calculations, but we got confirmation there. Let's see, RCJPH a little bit slower, possibly a mistake on the stage, although the car looks pristine. Across the line, about 10 seconds slower there. And Vlembar coming across the line. It's actually a much better stage time than we predicted, losing about 2.2 seconds to Kamikaze, so that is actually faster than Ambient Mike, so that gap has increased into the last stage, and it's hopefully we can get an interview maybe with RCJPH, because he's been driving a good rally so far, to be honest. Maybe not the ultimate pace, but the consistency has been there. He's kept himself in the running, and as we've seen from Contan, for example, that's not so easy. Currently, I'm just looking at the times. He is 9th overall after stage 9, so he's in for a top 10. He's currently 4th in the Creator Series standing, so at the moment, a good haul of points, really, with Ryan in 15th as well. So that, if there's a mistake made, he can lose positions here. So there's a lot to play for at the moment.
Yeah, and especially going into the power stage, which you can obviously gain a little bit extra going into the power stage. It's a 7.3 kilometer stage. It is one of the shorter ones we have done this afternoon, so it'll be a nice change of pace for some of our drivers. And of course, it'll be a little bit of time to, let's say, let their hair down. And the stage is coming towards its end. The rally is coming towards its end. But there is no time for complacency. You have still got to perform well. You've still got to pick up a good time, because you want to get some more places up. You want to get further up that leaderboard.
So for those of you who might not be familiar with the power stage format, we have the overall standings for the rally, which nabs you if you have done everything right. You got yourself into first position on the Creator Series standings. You will nab yourself 25 points. However, you will perhaps want to go for those 5 points of power stage points. So you know, it's the end of stage. Oh, sorry, I was getting Gareth talking maybe about an interview, so I was interrupting myself, waiting for that interview to come in. But sadly, it looks like we're not going to be able to get IRC JPH in. So just to explain the power stage, then, without me mumbling in the background, you've got 5 points available to you if you can nail the last stage and beat everybody else on it, and it's a little incentive to go just that extra little bit fast and take a few risks. And we can see certain drivers that have got great results overall back off during the power stage and lose those few points to secure the overall point. So it's an interesting dynamic between whether, like Jam, you've had a little bit of a topsy-turvy rally and you want to just push flat out, or whether you want to secure the points that you already have. For Vlember, it will be very, very interesting to see what he goes with.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know what tyre he's on as well. Obviously, he didn't reveal too much about what his strategy was going to be. And as a jam time, no turning required. You don't need to turn when it's jam time, that's for sure. I mean, you know what I'm going to say? Commentators' favourites in watching right now, Aerotech and Jam. They're so fun to interview, and they're honestly they're so insightful as well. When you do it, they're doing it for fun, they're enjoying it, but they also know a lot about rally. So it's great for us as commentators to be able to chat to them, and they look like they're just enjoying the vibes. Look at Jam, he's jamming,
vibing until he hits the rocks. Yeah. He's vibing anyway. It doesn't matter. You know, the Astra, you know, the car that you see at 2 a.m. on some roads around Reading or something in the UK, you know, with the tuned wheels, stanced wheels on it, you know, outrageous paint job. That Astra is currently driving the stages right now in Spain, and it's just a vibe. Crashing into the barrier is very realistic as well. But I think for Jam, he just hasn't gelled with this car, really. It's quite a difficult car to drive, very low grip compared to the others. And, you know, I do give him credit, though, for taking it, because it's a different choice, and I do like different choices.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We don't want everyone going with the same car, do we? We want everyone to do something slightly different and have fun with it. And yeah, he may have not gelled with this, but he certainly looked like he's had fun this afternoon. When I asked him about has the spins annoyed you or whatever, no, he hasn't. He's kind of enjoyed doing it, enjoyed that recovery of it. And we are now on the power stage. And one final time, John, I'll let you pronounce the power stage for old time's sake.
Les Îles is what I pronounce it as.
No, that's last stage.
Is it? Let me update my RaceNet results.
Are we still on
stage
stage
9? The power stage. No,
this is definitely the power stage. Yeah,
it's Bottarelli. There you go. My apologies. I was looking through RaceNet to see the overall standings as of stage 9. I swear I clicked the button for stage 10, but it didn't switch me over.
So there you go. We've all done it. Everyone's made that mistake.
No, it's good because it was an easier name to pronounce. So I'll
exactly.
Take it.
That's what I left you with a nice one at the end. That's what I thought I'd do.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
So they're going on. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on that.
No, I insist, sir. You carry on.
Well, it would be my pleasure. You've got Aerotech really sort of negotiating the turns very well, just doing the gutter run on the inside, initial D reference right there. I'd love to get one in per rally. And it really does actually gain you a lot of grip and traction if you can get the front wheel, at least, even the rear wheel sometimes, hooked into that sort of pivot point in the turn. You can carry an extra gear. But as we saw for Contact, it's a double-edged sword. You can get it wrong as well. And so, you know, it's one of those things where you have to just be acknowledge, let's say, the risk that you're taking and just accept the consequences and either commit to it or back off from it. Because if you try and do a half measure, it can go wrong. And Aerotech across the line with a 4:43, which is a good time, actually. It's just outside the top 20, but I think that might be a point or two in the power stage.
Yeah, 4:43 would put him, I believe, inside the top 37, if I'm not mistaken. If I did a quick little look there, as we are looking with no coat, Muriel Ryan, who's, as you can see by his face, a little bit happy that was where it was. Only a little bit left, I believe, of this stage to go here in the power stage. And Ancephalosis, of course, looking sharp with his tank top. I forgot to compliment on his tank top. If we interview him later, I'll tell him I like it. It suits him. It suits the style.
Yep, Scandi Andy is definitely feeling the heat on this one, that's for sure, as the temperature rises at the end of Rally Spain. And Ryan all the way over the rocks. He doesn't care about the car anymore. As long as half the car reaches the finish line, it's all good. There's the yellow boards, and up to the finish, flat out across the line to 4:37. That's actually a really good time.
That's a
Inside the
really
top 20 for the moment, and just spin to the end. No worries. The car doesn't need to survive now. You can just park it for sale, like new, used by a very, very careful driver.
yeah, raincoat included. I heard as well in the purchase order. But Ancephalopoulos is also going towards the end, as you can see, getting to the yellow marks once again, and then the flag will cross it, and it's a 4:38. Another good time, I think, just inside the top 20, I believe.
That is incredible how close it is. We've got Kamikaze on the road right now. And he's just crouching the barrier a little bit. This is where you see the top drivers just absolutely go for it. Conta has set a stage time 2.8 seconds slower than the fastest time in this stage. So, it's just all to play for. Vlembar is going for it as well, as you can see, hitting the barriers. Kamikaze on the inside there. There's so much to commentate on. It's just all kicking off right now in this last sector.
And 2 wheels there for Kamikaze. Again, as you said, these cars just need to get them to the end now. It doesn't matter how damaged they are, but Kamikaze on the charge in the power stage wants to gain at least as much from this rally as they possibly can, because, as we've mentioned, Vlembar has been superior this afternoon or this evening. Now, 4:14 on the clock so far for Kamikaze, 4 minutes on the clock for Vlembar. It's going to be some fast times. Here comes Kamikaze. Where are we looking on the power stage? They come across, and it is a 4:26 dead, which will put them second overall so far in this stage. But can Vlembar find a response to that? And by the looks of that time in the top right, it may be very close indeed as they come across that line, and they've lost a little bit of time. They've made a mistake. It's a 4:27, which puts them into third, just behind oh god, I forgot names.
Just behind Kamikaze, that
Kamikaze,
is.
yes.
Yeah. Conta has been bumped down to third place on that power stage. So disaster for Conta. He's only going to be taking a maximum of 3 points from this rally, perhaps, maybe a few more, counting, depending on how many creators have entered this event. So as you can see there, Kamikaze 0.4 of a second off of that stage win. Vlembar there will be very happy to nab potentially 4 points, including the overall rally win for the creators as well. So Flembar looks like he might be hurtling all the way to the top of the leaderboard at the moment. And Kamikaze, I think, will just be happy to have made it to the end of the rally. And it's great point haul on that power stage for Kamikaze, saving himself from a little bit of disaster, it must be said. I think all of our creators have finished the power stage, so I will just look up to see where everybody is. Ryan, P17 there on the standings, or make that P18. And I think we are about to get Vlembar in for a little bit of an interview to celebrate. Let us see if we can. Here we go with Vlembar. That is quite possibly the best way it could have gone for you. It was very close for the overall win so far. You must be extremely happy with your pace, seeing how you described the rally earlier.
Yeah, I'm super happy. Except the first stage, everything went as perfect as it could be. And yeah, I think I maximized the pace today. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, obviously not the full points. Kami beat me on the last one, but I think I can forget that. So yeah, the overall win is gonna be something that makes me very happy today. And also the biggest surprise for me is also winning the club overall, which I expected the least. Yeah, like I said, absolutely flawless.
Absolutely flawless. In that penultimate stage, you had a little bit of a moment going up the bank. Did you think you'd get away with that, or did you just have the confidence to say, well, it's gone so good so far, so I'll just let fate take its course?
If I'm gonna be honest, I think I had like 20 of those moments throughout the rally. There were like a lot of close calls with like the rocks and sometimes the barrier, or like clipping a rock and going like onto wheels. But yeah, except the first stage where I went into an armcourt barrier, I don't think I had any real mistake. So yeah, I certainly can complain. Like I said, I certainly got lucky at like a few moments, but I'm gonna call it calculated.
That's how I'd call it. I mean, calculated is always the way to call it if you think you've made a few mistakes. But honestly, mate, you looked absolutely solid out there. Every single time we looked on you on stage, you looked absolutely flying. And you looked like you were really enjoying it. You also changed your brightness mid-stage as well, which, it seemed it was quite bright on the screen. Was there a reason why you did that? Or was it just you were struggling to see certain parts of the circuit, the stage?
Nah, I just turned up the brightness for like the rainy stages because since I'm in cockpit, it's also sometimes really dark for me. So it can be hard to see. And also, I could turn on the lights, but I checked they do not make any difference. Um, but yeah, when the sun is out, it's some spots were really bright, so it was a bit annoying, I'm gonna say. So I just turned it down.
So you like the rain in terms of just brightness, then, if nothing else. How do you
The,
think?
the rain can stay away as far as possible, especially in this rally.
Well, it hasn't done you too badly. Let's put it that way. With the next round being also front wheel drive in Mexico, do you think you've got a good chance of that one as well?
Um, I hope so at least. I do love the Rally Force, and obviously Mexico is probably the most challenging rally, I would say, from all the ones we have in game. So it's gonna be, yeah, the whoever makes the least amount of mistakes. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit slower in the Rally Force than with the kit cars, so it should be a bit more relaxing, but not with the location. So it's a give and take.
Yeah, we can thank Punju for that once again. So he decided to dip on this rally with a quote unquote motherboard issue. So do you think it's another one of those ones where he thinks he can gain an advantage?
I think yeah. I To be honest, I expected that Rally 4 in Mexico would suit me more than this one, but as we saw, this one went pretty well, so I don't know how well it's gonna go in Mexico. Yeah, I think like I said, it's just gonna be whoever's the most consistent and one who does the least mistakes on those stages, because yeah, there's a problem waiting at every corner there.
Yeah, Alex, unless you've got any other questions, I think we'll let Vlembar go and celebrate.
No, I think that's all of the questions I've got answered. I think yeah, again, mate, you showed a peerless drive in pretty much every stage today. Didn't make any mistakes that cost you big. Even you said that first one that obviously into the Armco, but everyone crashes into an Armco once in a time. You know, everyone's done it. You know, Roman Grosjean did it once, unsuccessfully. But hey, you know that's what matters in the end. But Lembar, congratulations, mate. Well done on today.
Thank you very much.
Not a reference that I expected, I'll be honest, Alex, but a good one. We'll pop over to RCJPH now. A top 10 result. That's a pretty good one in your books.
Yeah. Good evening, guys. Yeah, nice result in sort of nice sort of combination, like F2 kit card tarmac, but I think it's starting to show that as I get into the wheel and get used to all the locations of the wheel, the pace is now starting to come. It's definitely a lot better than the last couple of events anyway, put it that way.
Yeah, good on the power stage as well. Only 3.7 seconds off for the fastest time. So, what in terms of the development of the wheel, as you say, you've gone to a direct drive wheel. What's still maybe, I don't want to say an issue, but what's something you're still adapting to?
I think it's just building the confidence with each sort of location now, just understanding the feeling at each location. Because even though it's basic gravel almost all the way through, obviously each one has its own little perks and uniqueness. A bit like around here, it's just a little bit. The time it's just a tiny little bit slippy at times. So it's just understanding how you feel that through the wheel and understanding sort of that element of the car. And then it's just getting time to it and having all that feedback, just understanding everything more in depth, and then that builds the trust in pushing the car further.
So what I'm hearing right now is a late push to build yourself up the leaderboard at the end of the season here. What do you think you can do?
It would be nice to. I'm not gonna say yes. I'm gonna go up the leaderboard because there's definitely a couple of tough events still to come. But I'm hoping mostly just for a bit of a stable, just continue to finish the events in a reasonable position at this point. And then obviously season 6 is sort of, hopefully I'll get more time on the wheel between seasons, and there'll be season 6, it'll show even more from there and just gradually improve rally on rally.
Over to you, Alex.
Yeah, I was just mentioning, obviously, you did very well in the power stage, and obviously you're enjoying these cars as well. Mexico, next time out, is the Rally 4 cars, which I believe are also, if John can correct me if I'm wrong, are also front-wheel drive cars. So, are you looking forward to that as well? You were saying there's a couple of challenging events coming up. Is there any event that you're really not looking forward to, or is there an event you're really looking forward to coming up towards the end of Season 5 here?
Well, I don't not look forward to any event. I mean, I'm the type of rally person who likes almost anything. I'll drive anything everywhere. But next week's definitely going to be a challenge on Mexico. The notes are severely challenging to trust at the best of times, and with the Rally 4 cars, because of the power in them, you've got to push them to get the best out of them. You've got to push really hard. So that's going to be a really challenging event. And then obviously we've got Kenya at the end of the season. In the WRCs, where once again Punju's put some more stormy weather. So that's going to be the final sort of challenging one. I can't remember which one's in. We've got another one in between. I can't remember which one it is.
I think it's Chile, if I'm not
Chile
mistaken.
in World Rally Car 97 2011.
That's going to be a lot of fun, I think, Chile, because it's very very reminiscent of Great Britain. So it's almost like an adopted home event.
Yeah, with the tight, twisty forest stages as well. So, what I'm hearing here is that you're definitely going to make a comeback on this leaderboard of Creator Series, and we can't wait to see that. I guess last question is so Tarmac F2 kit cars one of your favorites, or after the stormy weather have you has the temperature gone down in terms of your likeness to them?
Oh no, still one of my favourite combinations, without a doubt. Without a doubt, still one of my favourite combinations. You can't beat an F2 car screaming on a tarmac road. And I'll just add, if you can just keep jinxing people, I might get out that leaderboard. You see, just keep that rolling.
We're trying really hard today. We managed to jinx quite a lot of people today. We'll try and keep it up next week.
No comment. Over to you, Alex.
Yeah, as far as I was going to say, mate, you've done fantastically today. I mean, that power stage performance itself is proving that you were absolutely on it today in these cars. And I mean, as you're saying, you get used to where someone who's gone from, start from controller, you went to a Logitech and then went to a direct drive. It is not an easy thing to jump up through the different things. So the fact that you come in and you're already looking good on them is fantastic as well. So all I can say is keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be up there for sure. And if John can keep jinxing people as well, that will make it even better.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much.
All the best.
Cheers, please.
The amount of flack I'm going to get for quote unquote rigging the championship is going to be not hilarious for me, but there you go. I do my best, but sometimes fate has it that if you commentate someone for long enough, they're going to make a mistake and go off no matter what I say. So it's just the case, I think, of Contan just pushing the limits, and I think there's that pressure of performing on a broadcast time schedule. A lot of drivers, when they come into the Creator Series, they are not used to going into a rally at a specific time or a stage at a specific time, and so they get prepared. They get amped up to do the next stage, and so not having that respite and time to prepare yourself throws you off quite a bit. And so I think he's just preparing. Maybe something wrong in the preparation. I think we might be able to get Ryan with or without a coat. So Ryan Littlecoats, there we go. Hello.
Or Ryan No Coat, as he's been
Ryan
called.
No Coat. The coat, was it a good performance indicator, or was the performance better with the coat off?
It was actually better with the coat on, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, I'm actually happy with my performance, even though the last couple were a bit average. I made a few mistakes, but that I wouldn't have made in practice a couple of days ago. But I will take where I am with only started practicing Sunday morning yesterday, so I'm happy with it. But yeah, maybe next time, maybe for the next week, I'll wear a coat, mittens, bobble hat. You know where we're going, so we'll see.
In Mexico, I don't think it's the right type of year for that kind of outfit.
I didn't. Even, I generally thought it was chilly.
No,
Never mind.
Chili's the one after. Make the same joke next week, and it'll work just as well. It'll be fine.
Indeed.
Well, the raincoat, you'll definitely be roasting in Mexico. Let's put it that way. As looking at the weather, it'll be completely dry, so you definitely jinx that one. There we go. But yeah, in terms of your pace, actually, quite a good performance, to be honest, in terms of the overall results. You'll be bagging quite a few points on the Creative Series, so perhaps a good result despite the few problems here and there.
Yeah, I mean, the first priority was to not get a puncher, and I didn't get a puncher. So that's a big win for me, regardless. But yeah, I'm not sure where I am in the standings now, but I'm happy with it. And I mean, in the overall championship, not I think I finished 16th overall in this event, but
Yeah, our producer didn't want to update the standings, so I can't tell you what happened.
No.
You've been gifted a boatload of points, and that's championship over. So Ryan champion.
Yeah, let's go. But no, but no, I mean, from a championship perspective, I mean, I think I said it earlier on. I want to finish best of the non-alien people, so the Aerotex, the Jams throughout the season, and maybe if I get close to at least some of the quick guys, the Vembars or the Kamikazes, the Mikes, at any point in the rallies remaining this season, I'll take it. But some of the stages today, I was quite shocked at where I finished, being really high up in the top 10 consistently. Considering this car, if I'm going to be honest, is not one of my favorites to drive so far this season for me at the minute. So I'll take it any day of the week, and just got to make little tweaks with how I drive and not make many mistakes like I've done the last few stages at the end. So learning curve, obviously. We move to Mexico next week and see if we can continue this good form and hopefully continue it. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Sounds like a plan. I hope it works out for you. Indeed, the driving has been spectacular, so hopefully the consistency can be there next time as well. Alex, maybe got a few questions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, obviously, I think you feel like you drove a lot better than what happened last week in Portugal. I'm sure you'd very happily moved on from that last event. But now going into the last 3 events of the year, of course, we've got Mexico next week, as you mentioned, the Rally 4 cars. Then we've got Chile, and I believe the World Rally cars, and then Kenya in the WRC cars. Those last 3 rallies, is there anyone you're particularly stronger at or anyone you're particularly weaker at? What are you feeling going into the last 3?
I'm going to be brutally honest. I have not touched any of the 3 locations left. So it's all going to be new. That's all right. But if I had to pick one that I think could be a good combo, I believe it will be Chile, because the car that I am planning to drive in that is a Skoda. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But WRC in Kenya sounds very interesting. I've seen a few clips, some inspiration. So I think custom livery is going to be the way to go for me, because I put a custom livery on tonight and I've done well. So maybe it's a sign.
Big brain strats right here.
That's what it is.
Yeah, 1000 IQ right there. Put a livery on, all your problems are solved.
Indeed.
If you put a camouflage livery on, can you technically just corner cut and nobody will see you? This is the questions we have to ask in the Creator Series.
I could camouflage myself as Kamikaze or Vembar or something like that, and easy P1. But if I can quickly, I just want to give a shout out to Mike, who I think I mentioned it earlier on, but he helped me massively this week with knowing how to set this car up and give me some little tips there and there. So want to give him a big shout out, and I owe him one. So don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll help him at some point down the line. That's something, but just want to give a big shout out to him.
great to see drivers working together on setups, and Ambient Mike does a great job setting up cars, providing setups, and just helping out anybody that needs a little bit of a helping hand in not crashing into rocks. Isn't that right, Ryan? Moving on. But no, it's great seeing you drive, and hopefully we can see you. Hopefully adapting well to perhaps some tracks which you don't know as well. So thanks for your time for the interview. Great result once again. Some good points on the board, and hopefully we'll see a late season charge from you.
Yeah, indeed. And shout out to you, John, and Alex again for broadcasting Gareth behind the scenes as well. Yeah. Yes, I can. I'm doing it now. But no,
Yep.
all three of you done a
Yeah.
fantastic job as always with the broadcast. So it's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully we get some more people to join us and expand the league, because it's a fantastic league to be in. Cheers, boys.
Green.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Well, that was I agree with that on the Creator Series. There's always room for more. You can join the club just by going to RaceNet. It's part of the featured or partnered clubs right there on the main page of clubs, so you can join it very, very easily. Just called EA Creator Series. And there's still 3 rounds to go, but also this round until tomorrow morning if you're in Europe, about, I'd say, 9 to 10 hours from now. I think we have one last interview lined up with Aerotech. Here we go. We have Aerotech in, and he's already practicing. It
Take a
looks like.
screenshot. Leave me alone.
4K screenshot. There you go. We call him. So a little bit of a flat out rally from you, but a few mistakes here and there. So were you happy with your performance in the end, or you looking forward to the Rally 4?
I mean, I'm never happy. I mean, it's we were talking about it before you pulled me in here. It's so good and fun, but also frustrating. You're like, oh, I did really well, and you're like, yeah, I'm like 8th out of the creators because everybody's in the top 10 because everyone's so good. But all things considered, with how bad the rally started, I really didn't have a lot of confidence. As soon as the track started to dry out, I don't know if I just got like a bit more brave, because we started flying there towards the end, and then really I had a couple brushes with the wall, but no really big mistakes. And in the last 2 stages, I said screw it and just threw the mediums on instead of the hards, and it paid off in the first stage. We had a really good stage time, and then I ran about what I would with the hards on in the last stage. So I got tired of doing the same strategy as everybody else. I just wanted to try something different, and it worked out. And I think I went into this. I think we were on stage 4 or 5 where I said out loud, "This is probably going to be my worst rally of the year." And at least so far, this is the best rally of the year for me. So you never know, right? So I'm glad that we stuck through it, and ended up being a pretty good day for us.
I'm just watching on my other camera, Ancephalosis just rolling on various corners of Rally Mexico. So it's not going well. Let's say the practice so far. He's got a week to perfect it, though. To be fair, what are your thoughts about Mexico? So it's a bit like Marmite, really. A lot of people like it. A lot of people dislike it.
It's definitely in that category of rallies that I don't know very well. So I'm gonna have to put in some work in the next week to kind of just get familiar, especially with how long some of those stages can be. I think the goal is like I don't have, I'm not gonna spend every day this week trying to memorize the stage. I'm just gonna try and get familiar, figure out what the pace notes mean for the car specifically, if that makes sense. And just kind of be comfortable, because that's kind of what I went into today with. I went with really low expectations, going, I don't really know this rally very well. I know it's wide. I know you can kind of drive it like a circuit rather than a rally stage. You kind of really set corners up, and racing line's really important. So just do what you can, and then we ended up doing great. So we'll go into Mexico and do what we can. I know Encephalo is probably rolling now, but those are some of his favorite stages. He just drives at 120%. So if he can keep all 4 tires on it next week, he's going to be up there for sure.
Yes, I can confirm he has driven 120% into a tree as of right now. Sadly, he looks like he's flying. To be fair, it does look like he knows exactly where the stage goes, but maybe a little bit of setup tweaking on that car. Are you looking for maybe before I hand over to Alex, because I don't like holding all the questions for myself? Are you looking forward more to the 4-wheel drive, or are you happy with the 2-wheel drive?
I mean, I have a lot of experience running like touring cars and stuff. So, like even with setup today, we and Jam were talking, and he was surprised I was running my brake bias as far back as I was. It wasn't as aggressive as it could have been, but there's that. But all-wheel drive, especially on the dirt, is a bit more in my wheelhouse, where you can kind of turn the front end in really aggressive and like slide through the corner, and there's a bit more leniency in terms of how the car handles, and you can work the throttle a bit differently, which I like to do. I like to be able to get on the gas and have the weight kind of come back really aggressive, and then be able to use that weight transfer and be able to work the pedals. The front wheel drive, at least, a lot of it was brake and steering rather than using the throttle. Like if you're a little back ends out a little bit and you get on the gas, the front end just snaps. And there was a couple moments where I had a little bit of a slide, tried to catch it with throttle, then ended up into the wall, where if I would have just like held the brake, we would have been okay. So it's a totally unknown class for me. I've never driven a Rally 4 before. I know one of them's named Adam and has a really big smile on his face, so I think that's my new best friend. But we'll see what he end up doing next week. I'm stoked to do a rally I don't really know very well in a class I've never driven. It's always fun to do something new in this game.
Was my turn? Yeah, just I was waiting for the handover. Anyway, so I was going to mention Eric's obviously a fantastic drive again today. Obviously, a few mistakes, but that's what happens in rally, isn't it? You can iron those out. Obviously, we mentioned about Mexico being a bit Marmite, but obviously we've got Chile and then Kenya to end off the calendar. Either of those two rallies you looking forward to, or have you driven either of those two rallies in the cars that we're going to be driving them in?
So, two of my least experienced rallies are Mexico and Chile. Actually, a lot of the rallies on the schedule, it's Portugal, Chile, and Mexico are probably the three rallies I have no idea where I'm going. So, it's frustrating because you're like, oh, if I knew these stages a bit better, I'd be a lot faster. But learning it and kind of improving over the course of the week is part of the fun of Creator Series. Kenya is a rally I'm familiar with, and I believe it's in the 97 to 2011 cars, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
I think the WRC cars.
Or I'm stupid. That's also possible. So it's in a car that I know that I've driven there before, and Kenya can be like fast and flowing and has a lot of tight sections too, a lot of technical sections too, and a lot of cutting. So I'm stoked to see how much I've improved since the last time I've driven Kenya, now that I've got another season of Creator Series under my belt. I mean, we're kind of just playing with house money. I missed the first round. I can't keep up with like the top 8 people on broadcast, so I'm just trying to going for overall leaderboard placement. So I was like, oh, if I got top 100 this season, we'd be great. We're 87th coming into this round, and I think we were 35th or something overall today, so that's going to shoot me up the leaderboard. So we could just keep maintaining and keep doing what we're doing. I think it's been a good season, and obviously I always want more. I'm really competitive to almost a fault, and the competition, especially in this Discord, is insane. So it's kind of tough to be like, oh, I'm getting better, but you're still at the towards the bottom of the Creator Series leaderboard in terms of the 10 of us that are running. But that's kind of the beautiful thing about this club too, right? Like you don't need to be esports insane good to kind of find like I always run into the same sort of names wherever I'm running in the leaderboard and going, oh, I recognize that name. Oh, I'm faster than them this time. Oh, I'm slower than them this time. So there is always competition, and there's like 300 to 400 people that are running every rally. So yeah, you may not be competing for top 10, but there's always somebody, like some group of people, even if you get some friends together. I know some people from my community also run Creator Series, and we are very nice to each other about where we finish. So I mean, it's we're just trying to have fun for the rest of the season. I'll see if we can bring something to these top dudes, but just learning from them, and iron sharpens iron, I think is the best way to put it. Where we're getting better every rally, and it's nuts how fast I'm getting better, and it's because we're just going up with some of the best people in WRC, and they've been super helpful. It's one of the best sim racing communities I think I've ever been in.
I couldn't think of a better point to end the interview on. To be fair, I think he said everything there. We love being part of it as commentators and myself as driver as well. I
don't remind me, pal.
Atmosphere. Yeah, I was trying to get
everywhere you finish. It's a +1 once we're done. Thanks, buddy.
I was trying to throw a curveball in there, but it didn't really work, did it? Just
He's not stopped talking about his championship stand all day in the commentary box. Every 5 minutes he mentions it.
Yeah. You want to hear the best lie in the world? Is it going, I don't know if I'm going to do very good today, lads. And then he goes P4. Like, okay, pal. Okay.
That's a really good impression, actually. I think that's class.
He's going to be mean to me all around next week. Back me up, bro.
I'm out of here. I don't know what to respond to that. I've been absolutely bamboozled and destroyed on live stream right now. Love the impression though, very good.
Yeah,
10
that's
out of
good.
I got a week to work on it. We'll do better next week.
No worries, I'll be there so you can do it again. But thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you, mate.
Great to see you drive, and good luck next time as well in Mexico.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks to Gareth too. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes here with trying to make this look good. Like he's running 8 to 10 screens on the back end, and
Yeah.
I think it's about time. I work production. I know how difficult it is dealing with 10 idiots. So thanks for putting this on, guys. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Aero, man.
Anytime. And catch you later. Well, yeah, we do like thanking Gareth. It's a great tradition of ours. Our
It's our
Lord and
favourite thing.
Savior Gareth, without which none of this would be possible. And if you want to join the credit series, once again, I'll remind you that the club is available on the main page of RaceNet as part of the partnered clubs. It's very easy to find, and there's about, I think, 500 entries on this event so far. So it's seems like there's a lot of attrition though. I've just noticed 287 people have finished the rally, so that's a lot of people have crashed in that one. But there you go. It's been a pleasure to commentate with you, Alex, and I want to ask you where we could find you on the social medias.
Well, you can find me at Definitely10 on pretty much every social platform from X, Twitch, Instagram, all of the good ones. You can find me on there. And I just want to say as well, briefly, actually, Sky you can find me on as well. Whatever, Blue Sky you can. I don't post on it, but I am on Blue Sky as well. But I wanted to point out, obviously, what Aerotech said is, as I think John has pointed out as well, you guys can come join the league, come join Creator Series, because WRC is a growing esport. It's going to grow in Creator Series as well. And as Aerotech says, you don't have to be a professional driver. You don't have to be the fastest of them all to have fun and enjoy it. You know, I've commentated three rallies, and I don't know anything about rally, but I've been learning stuff every time we've done it. And you don't have to be professional to come race with us. Just come enjoy it. Come spend time in Creator Series, and I'm sure you're gonna grow even more. But from myself, it's been fantastic again. And yeah, you can find me at Definitely10 on any sort of platform you want. John, where can people find you?
You could find me crashing into a tree or a rock, or going off the road and DNFing probably in, I don't know, 30 minutes time, something like that. That is amusing. Link down, well, not link down there, but the name's down there in any case. It's tarmac rallies. What can you say? I love saying this as a driver. It doesn't matter your skill. We all crash in the same way. And usually it leads to a DNF or terrible consequences. That is the nature of rally. And if you want to see more of it or more Formula One content, you can go to those links up there. The F1 Creator Series or Creator Series in general, depending on the name. But there are the links up there. Alex, got any final closing thoughts for this rally and this event?
No final thoughts. Of course, thanks to our producer behind the scenes as well, Mr. Gareth Allen, who deserves his third thanks of the evening. Even after a slight crash of the stream, he did get it all back up working for us, which he does apologise for. But, you know, as Aerotech said, it is an impossible thing to set up. You don't understand how many screens there are. I mean, I was talking about the 4-monitor setup earlier, and I completely realised I was watching the wrong stream when it wasn't the one that was live. So I'm glad I worked that out earlier on. But yeah, thanks to Gareth again, and thanks to John as well, because it's been fantastic commentating with you again. If you're in the box next week again, or maybe you'll be on racetrack as well if TK is back, it's been a pleasure again.
It's been my pleasure as well commentating with you. And as a final thought, I think I'll thank Gareth once again because he enjoys it so much when I thank him. But anyway, what an event we've had. I'll just do closing thoughts while Gareth berates me in my ear. But it's been just one of those rallies where things could have gone wrong. And for most drivers, surprisingly, it didn't. We did have quite one or two surprising offs for content. Sadly, it's just been one of those seasons where nothing has gone right. But the pace will be there. He will be in chance with winning a rally at least 2 or 3 times, I'd say, probably on each of the remaining rallies, to be fair. He could be in with a chance. So watch out for him as well. And what an amazing pace, amazing event, and very, very close at the end. That is the nature of a tarmac rally. However, until the end of the season. Now we have 3 gravel rounds, one with the front-wheel drive low-powered cars in Mexico, and 2 very, very fast rallies to end off the season, and rallies where you have to take a lot of risks and where there are very few rewards. So stay tuned until then. This has been the WRC Creator Series. Many thanks to Gareth once again. Thank you ever so much for watching. See you next week. Bye.